The views and opinions of the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the management and staff of Guardian Radio.
Good yawning this morning. Tell me why, if God didn't love pedestrians, why did he make sidewalk and pedestrian crossing? I just saying, everything is in the music. Everything we need to understand ourselves and to chart a way forward is in the music. Let's say good morning to Nita Ellis Tynes. She's now a member of the Hannah Hasty Tynes family, and I claim her as my auntie and my cousin. Good morning, everybody. You're on the clock with Erin Greene. It's Tuesday, the 25th of March, 2025, and we have lots to talk about. I prepared two sets of talking points this morning. One about the recent announcement for the Performing Arts School that's in both today's Guardian and Tribune. And as we close out March, Women's Month, I want to do a series of shows focusing on one of the most important issues facing women and girls in Women's Month, and that is sexual violence, rape culture. I want to talk about that as well. I wasn't sure where I was going to fit it in, but this headline, "Man abducted teen and kept her at his home for a month," I think has prompted me to also raise that discussion. But there's lots to talk about this morning in today's papers, and I think that's what I want to focus on. What's in today's papers? Here are a couple more headlines before we delve in. Pindling's birthday proposed for new holiday. Pindling's birthday proposed for new holiday. Mitchell, no one wants to wait 6 months to open a bank account. In today's Guardian, in the Grand Bahama news section, the headline, "Massive Blaze Threatens Homes, Disrupts Lives." I think this is, along with the issues surrounding sexual violence, one of the most important issues we have to face today. Fueled by the dry undergrowth, a massive fire raged in every direction recently in Grand Bahama, threatening homes and forcing residents to grab hoses and buckets of water to soak down properties. Right? Let's talk about this for just a brief moment. I had a story in my notes from last week, Grand Bahama fires, and then I read the story in the paper, I think that would have been on Thursday possibly or Friday, about the fires in Eleuthera. Right now, I want to focus this, I guess, in the space of an administrative crisis. I think this is clearly the result of an administrative crisis. How many acres of land have to burn uncontrolled before the powers that be realize and acknowledge publicly that they have been derelict in their duty? See, because here's what it is. We're sitting here on the 24th of March, 2025. Some of us are still demanding that the government table an audited expenditure report for the 50th Golden Jubilee anniversary celebrations. We've had no word after the infamous words of Mr. Jack Thompson. My pen is in the numbers right now. On the 23rd in August, I think August 2023. We've heard nothing. Nothing whatsoever. And recently I read an article focused on a fire in Grand Bahama where a Miss Dennison, who was a member of staff or owner or co-owner of a farm in Grand Bahama, when she remarked that she was pleased to learn that the authorities had finally gotten authorization to purchase parts necessary to repair fire trucks that had been damaged and, I presume, unoperational since Dorian. Now, I's be all over the interwebs the same way y'all is be all over the road. I's be all over the interwebs. And there is this theory that there is a global plan to propel this new world order forward by establishing smart cities. And to establish the smart city, they have to get rid of an existing city. It would not be unreasonable. It would not be unreasonable for some conspiracy theorists to think, to speculate, to wonder out loud, aloud. Is there a conspiracy afoot to make land accessible for, I guess, economic purposes by allowing it to be destroyed by fire first? I'm just saying, at what point is somebody going to get up and say, you know what? Maybe we need to buy more fire trucks. And maybe we need a grand investment in the Royal Bahamas Police Force, right? To build or rebuild a unit within the force that can repair this equipment. The fire truck, the police cars, they keep getting bang up. What are we going to do? Somebody has to be in charge and in control. And I'm sure at this point, the people in the Family Islands are desperate for actual solutions to their problems. Not rhetoric, not word salad, not pretty poetic politic and poetics. None of that could solve their problems. See, yesterday we read from the article, Education Minister Appeals to Drivers After High Schooler Injured in Traffic Accident. And what are the solutions offered? We're going to have a jingle and mascot campaign. We're going to have a creative writing campaign, creative competition for students aged 11 to 16. Are those real solutions? And imagine that story being read on a day where we had 2 traffic fatalities. You're going to put up billboards without instructing those responsible for their erection to ensure that they follow the road codes and do not cause obstructions in their attempt to improve driving culture. Now, this Road Safety Corporate Influencer Network. Road Safety Corporate, I was fine with it. Influencer Network, what are you talking about? I had an encounter a few months ago. After observing a commercial vehicle with the name of the company clearly emblazoned on it, to share what I observed on the road with them. Listen, I'm going to go to the phone line right now, and we're going to come back to that story. Good morning, caller.
Hey, Erin, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
You know, you said you didn't really feel comfortable with the solutions they were offering.
No, I don't know how a safety jingle and mascot campaign is going to compel big grown adults who seem to not be able to care about their own lives and their children's lives. I don't know how a jingle and a mascot is going to shift driving culture.
You're 100% correct. It probably won't. But what's sad is that's probably the only solutions we could come up with all the people governing us for the 51 years, because the opposition didn't give you a better solution. After hearing that, they should have been appalled and come with a better solution. Let me give you a quick one. And thanks for taking my call, because, people holding and they have minutes.
Yeah.
Here's a solution. 200 motorcycle, but not big motorcycles. Simple scooter. Police. But you have to arm them. You have to put a body camera in the front and the back of them, so that
on their bodies and on their bikes.
And on it's very intelligent, yes. And probably in the front and back of the bike, too, because someone may try, hit them from behind, God forbid. And with those, at the end of school and beginning, one would be parked to either end of the road where a school is, where it says do 15. Now, you may come flying through, but you ain't quicker than a walkie-talkie, eh?
Right.
And he will notify the guy on the other end. And with 200 of those on the streets, and at night, a 24-hour highway patrol, trust me, crime will go quick, just like your boy did in New York. Pay attention to the small things, and the big ones will take care of themselves, eh? But there's a solution in a few seconds, and you didn't have to buy me a fancy car and have a driver and a red plate and all the other garbage. I called you from a scooter to tell you that.
I hope you park your scooter on the side of the road, though, Graham.
Well, I got to pay very close attention because we disrespect scooters.
Yeah.
More so than the horse and buggy. And that's sad. We need to pivot to a scooter culture. As I move about real quick, I see one person in every car, Erin. It's insane. Let's incentivize people to get on a scooter.
Right, absolutely. Thank you very much, Graham. Two great points. Let us change the mode of enforcement, right? And I like that, aimed at those school zones. Because you have to remind people that it's a school zone. Like, I get it. People are constantly distracted by life. You have to remind people. You have to inundate people with the messages. And see, when you get tired of seeing the sign because you all already get the message, that's where spatial awareness and empathy come in to boost your critical thinking. And you realize, you know what, at this point, the sign is not for me. The sign is for other drivers. Because every year there's a new generation of drivers coming on the road, right? Like, you get annoyed at it, but it's not for you at that point. It's for others. So 200 scooters patrolling school zones at the entrance time and the exit time is a great idea. And then to the cultural issue, Graham, and I think it's a very important point. You look into the cause as 1-1-1-1-1-1. We have, because of a false sense of self and location, rooted ourselves into a hyper-individualism that just cannot be sustained in a small island developing state. Further, a small island developing state in a hurricane zone. See, in a hurricane zone, you can't pretend like you don't have neighbors. You just can't. Imagine if those 6, 7, 8, 12 brave men that we've memorialized in that just amazing and stunning photo. Imagine if those men, during that storm, closed their eyes, their ears, and their hearts and said, then people let their family rescue them. Right? That is why we demand that those men be memorialized formally by the state. Sense of self, sense of space and location, sense of identity. They knew they were men and they knew that men were needed and they stepped up. Those are the things that are going to push us forward. Anyway, I needed to touch on this Grand Bahama story because the question will continually be, can the government move at the pace of its own policies? And we extended, can the government move at the pace of the threats and the risks that they face and that they have to deal with. We need fire trucks now. We need fire trucks on every island. Every fire truck, every 2 fire trucks needs a trained, certified technician, trained with whatever program is affiliated with the producer of the vehicle. Every 2 trucks needs a trained fire mechanic. Come on, man. This is the basic. All the fancy cars, I watched one of them black and white plate turn left on red this morning at a place where they should have known they can't turn left on red. Well, all these fancy cars, all these fancy events. See, when I learned about the infamous Privy Council meeting here in the Bahamas, where they had 2 banquets and they had 10 meats at each banquet. 2 Privy Council banquet and they had 10 meats at each banquet. We cannot even get a cogent, coherent, and sensible statement from the state, from the government, as to its fire service policy and its intention to actually provide something for the people. I take this moment to recognize the Abaco Volunteer Fire Team, and for a moment to recognize the life of Gavin, one of the volunteer firemen who passed away tragically while they were on a call. Anyway, we're going to put that down. Let me go to this caller, and then we're going to transition to another story. Good morning.
Morning.
Yes, sir.
Hi, my dear. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, sir.
Wonderful. One thing with you, you always right on point now. You getting paid for this, eh?
I mean, only the little thing the station is give me.
Erin, let me tell you something.
Yes, sir.
This year 25, I ain't taking no foolishness from you. You know, my back of my yard been cleaned down about 30 times.
Listen, I've been pestering Phil Davis Jr. so much, the PLP probably think I trying to marry into the legacy. Okay? I will be careful about that.
Listen, listen. 52 years, 8 months later, and a couple hours later, Erin Greene, the Bahamian people have to realize that these acts, we said that House Assembly, just don't care about us. They don't. With the topic you're talking about, Erin, let me show you how easy it is to deal. Remember back in the day, Erin Greene, or you might have been a little too young, when we had fire hydrants all over the place.
Yep, I remember seeing them. Yeah.
Those hydrants were in residential areas, and anytime the trucks didn't have to come with water, you know. The trucks could have come, depending on where the fire was, and hook into those hydrants, and those hydrants would produce a bunch of pressure with water. Now, on the Family Island, all they have to do in the residential areas or the high forest areas is go down with hydrants at different intervals on the side of the road, because they now have dually trucks, fire trucks, that have the big 4 wheels in the back and carry a high pressure pump on the back of them. You don't need no expensive fire engine no more. All they got to do is roll them dualies up to the hydrant, hook the pump into that, and they can extinguish any fire in a residential area or whatever. This is technology, man.
Yeah.
What in the world are they doing?
I am not sure, but as long as people's lives are at risk, we have an obligation to interrogate, to pry open and say, well, what is happening and why isn't it happening fast enough?
See, Erin Greene, all a fire truck was back then was a modern way to carry water.
Yeah. Yep.
You understand? That's all a fire truck is, big, everything carrying water. All you need now is a pump.
Yeah.
And they have the heavy-duty pumps that you can hook into the hydrants and extinguish any fire anywhere. And you ain't got to worry about lumbering across the road with 30 tons of water in the back of you.
Oh, no, I understand. Have we reached the point now where every settlement or every district on an island requires a rainwater storage tank specifically for fires?
Well, listen, Erin Greene, like I said, that was the way Mama and Papa them used to do it back then. If you go in Cat Island now, all you can see is things look like houses right on the side of rainwater storage.
Man, look
we
here.
got to go back to basics.
In Barbados, they've had to, at a policy level, they've had to make a shift. And now I think all new homes have to be built with a water catchment system because of the drought. But what people also have with the water catchment system is you got a water source in case there's a fire.
Erin, Greene, we have to go back to basics. Sometimes in life, you got to take the old with the new. It's complete modernization, something can get left behind. And that's exactly what's happening, because I still can sit on the fire hydrant through Palm Street and Corridor Avenue. They ain't know it last they checked that, and one up here on the 4th is. Those hydrants are there, and they was put there for a purpose.
Absolutely. I mean, okay, I can transition right now. Thank you very, very much, because guess what my idea is?
What's that?
Can we get BTVI and the School of Engineering at the University of the Bahamas to develop a project where we take young by them from the city, inner city, maybe BTVI students. You say to some young men, look here, you ever thought of coming to BTVI and a hydrant rehabilitation project?
Yes, Erin, great, because our water table, if you take one fork and you check that far enough in the ground, you get water.
Yep. Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
You. All right.
Absolutely. Thank you. Here's another text. Good morning. I wanted to catch you before you move on. The road exiting Prospect Ridge leading into Tonic Darling Highway marking needs to be corrected ASAP. It allows usage of the road, but just before the curve, the markings indicates that you are possibly in the lane of incoming traffic, as it indicates by huge arrows the need for the lane to merge, and I imagine it's been like this for a while. Okay, so you're talking about the southern side of Prospect Ridge coming down to the roundabout. It's JFK heading towards the six-legged roundabout on your left, JFK heading to Fusion roundabout on your right, Tonic Darling Highway or Harold Road extension straight ahead of you. Those arrows you in the road, I will be honest with you, that is a road marking that we need to clearly explain to us. I could tell you that I am not 1,000% certain exactly what that road marking means, but when I see it, you know what I do? I make sure to stay in my lane because of the tight curves. Thank you for that texter. That's a part of it. The vast majority of people do not know what the markings in the road mean and what is required of them if they see it or if they are on it.
Yes, good morning to you, Erin. I just want to interject something here, because we've been missing an opportunity since 1990. No, 1990. Yes, I'm trying to remember the date. It is envisioned that under the Hawksbury Creek Agreement, that we became a municipality. We created this facade called local government. Now, when you talk about the city of Freeport, and this is something that's beginning in the new year, April 1st, I'm going to begin to speak to this. But what happens is, in a properly managed city, they would be their responsibility to create those municipal services, such as the fire engine, such as the garbage, even motivating the development of hospitals, all of those different things. Somehow, we have this municipal government in Freeport called the Grand Bahama Port Authority, but the things that is necessary for the growth and development of the city is not agitated or facilitated by them. And then we have this emasculated form of local government that interjects itself into the city. And then another third layer called the Office of the Prime Minister. And so what you have is this three-head, they said a two-head monster is crazy, right? So we have this three-headed monster in the city of Freeport that basically has stifled the development of Grand Bahama, which is supposed to have been the model for the rest of the Bahamas. And so if you begin to have development in Freeport, and that's what is very important because of that taxation dollars, where you have the government of the Bahamas already listed the $357 million claim, and that's only for about 5 years. Doesn't even take you back to 1990 when it should have started. But what you have is the government already anticipate supposedly billing the Grand Bahama Port Authority for another $75 million this year and another $75 million for next year. I want you to pay attention. That's very important because from last year's budget, the government already anticipated that there'll be no development in Freeport, so they already billed the Grand Bahama Port Authority for the $75 million that they'll be short of. that they should be making from their taxes. It's kind of crazy that you anticipate no growth, nothing happening in Freeport, that you could actually prepare to build somebody else for it. But if you develop Freeport in the municipal government as opposed to, and Dwight is very familiar with this, and let it be, because it's already in statute law, the structure, everything is in place. For the licensing, for the operations of sanitation services, for the operation of the city, paving of the roads, all those different things. The problem that we may be having is the fact that you have the actual investors or principal owners also basically governing themselves. And so I think the concept that Mr. Pintard mentioned concerning a new model that has to be considered for the city of Freeport has to be a consideration as opposed to maintaining this whole concept of moving one group of people in for another group. So you can have an investor regime, but we must have a municipal government regime and correct the defective version of local government we have for the rest of the Bahamas and let cities run as they want. Imagine now that if the government has over $100 million, $150 million a year in revenue that's supposed to come in, that basically even 50% of that stays in the city of Freeport, plus the ability to generate its own revenue, build its own schools, develop its own fire station, all those things that comes with municipal governance. You can have a city that rivals Singapore and the other countries that we so often like to reference.
Thank you.
Just for the concept of adopting technology, let me quickly flip into something else that Graham spoke about. If we have a digitization of the economy, we don't need to go back to what Graham talked about, where you have cars and different things. A properly orchestrated, closed CCTV and other different things would actually fix many of the problems we have. The problem is that we have patchwork digitization. And so what we have now is a digital shanty town throughout our country being masked as a Bahamas national digitization strategy. And so we just have to do things for what it's supposed to be as opposed to what we want to make it to be.
Awesome. Thank you. See, Alan, don't respond, but I can say it out loud.
Yeah.
So the FNM going to sponsor you to go to Estonia and figure out how they applied hold on.
I have to answer to you.
So that you could come back and be the technology czar?
Let me explain to you something. I was there when IBM rested its first desktop computer on the table. I was there in 1983 when the internet was first released to the world. I was there in 1992 when the World Wide Web happened. I was there when when Wi-Fi happened. So I don't need to go to Estonia to understand the principles of how technology work. I've been in AI now for almost 30 years.
I got you.
New to the world, but not for me. So this is where I live. Welcome to the future. I've been expecting you.
But I know you wasn't picking up my call. I know my call wasn't reaching Grand Bahama, man. I've been calling this way. Anyway, thank you very much. I say thank you to Graham, to Marvin, to C. Allen. These three people are connected to political parties, but I really appreciate how they bring policy ideas to the discussion. They don't really say that they are political or they represent their party when they're talking, but I could appreciate that. And I like how they interact with each other's ideas and expand them or, critique them. I think that's a positive thing. Here's another text. Good morning, Erin. Why are police vehicles being used to transport officers' children to and from school? Why is this happening? This is so serious. I didn't know, when I see little children in the car, I figured that by the start early. I am only joking. Sometimes I figure that the police officers found a child, like this morning on my way to work, I extended my stop at the stop sign to allow a group of students to cross the road. They were going to see our walker. It was very late in the morning. They should have been at school a long time. See, me, if I was a police and I had a van, and I see you on the road after school open, all children get inside this van. We dropping you off at your school, to your parents, or to the police station. Maybe Ministry of Education. Maybe I drop you all off at Ministry of Education. I scooping up all children on the road at the wrong time and making sure they go where they're supposed to go. I just thought there was some little raccoons. There's some raccoons and shit. Okay, here's the last, another text. I've heard you speaking on numerous occasions about driving school infractions, but I'd never really seen one until I stopped at the crosswalk on Shirley Street across from Zion Baptist this Sunday. I was surprised to see a driving school car crawl past me at 10 miles per hour straight through the crosswalk. They did stop about 15 feet post-crosswalk, but alas, that would have been too late for the pedestrian. My first thought was, aren't those cars equipped with brakes on the instructor's side? That aside, the real problem is the position of that crosswalk. It is poorly placed, and I see these traffic management head scratches popping up everywhere. The correct placement of that crosswalk is east of the East Street intersection. It is unnatural to suddenly stop at a crosswalk after you either turn a corner, come off a roundabout, or start moving after a green light. Unnatural, as in it makes no sense. Another minister said he would honor Miss Pierre, who died on Eastern Road and Prince Charles by creating a similarly placed crosswalk. Who does the planning? You're absolutely right, but I think that crosswalk was put there because of the church. And with the risk of getting struck by lightning, I think this is the most appropriate time to say it. How come it seems like y'all practice the worst behavior on your way to church? What's happening here? Like, you figure, I'm so close to salvation, I need to get all of this badness out of me before I get inside the church and Christ see my heart? Is that what it is? Why y'all people go to church and think that your desire to be a good Christian warrants you parking your car improperly, illegally on the side of the road? I speculate, I surmise, without any official affirmation or confirmation, that the crosswalk was put there for the church people. It is very problematic because tourists inherently seem to lose their mind when they enter a less developed country. Like, tourists want to cross Shirley Street by the East Street intersection. The safest place for them to cross is east of East Street at the intersection when the Shirley Street light is red. That's the safest place for them to cross. Except, y'all refuse to acknowledge that you cannot turn left on red there. See, I said that cannot. If I was in school, my teacher would have said, you can. The question is, may you? May you? You may not. You are not allowed to. It is against the law to turn left on red there, but you're in the law right next to the court complex. There, Nassau Street, Wolf Road. I saw an interesting video last night documenting an accident at it looked like the Mackey Street and Wolf Road intersection, like right in front of the Wolf Road police station. And the boy was remarking that there were no officers attending the accident. Producer, let's go to the phone line. And from the phone line, we are going to transition to a new story. Good morning, caller. Oh, here we go. Good morning, caller. How you doing?
Good morning, and morning.
Morning.
Listen, I believe the folks, there's a verse in the Psalms that says, God is my sun and shield.
Mm-hmm.
So they believe that they are shielded from all of the anomalies that could occur when they're on their way to church because God is their shield, not realizing that David in the Psalms was actually referencing the magnetosphere that protect us from the rays from the sun.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't really go that deep in realizing that God is playing so many roles as a sun and a shield, which is powerful stuff.
Yes, sir. In fact, it's so powerful, right, that it evoked for me almost immediately this concept, this thought that I realized we have developed a hyper-individualism that seems like unnatural and not inherent a part of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we've developed it because that's like some people, some bodies have combined this idea of Jesus Christ as my personal Lord and Savior, salvation, with gospel prosperity theology, right? Gospel prosperity salvation theology, which is the blessings are mine because of my relationship with God, not yours. If you was walking with God the right way, you would have get out that intersection before me.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Thank you very.
Oh, okay then.
No. Thank you very, very much.
All right.
Let's go to the next caller. Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning, Ms. Greene.
Morning.
Here's what I mean. 3 quick points here. You know, about a month ago, I didn't like to say this, but I walked out of the house. It was one morning, somebody came to me, and there was a little toddler in the road, right?
Mm-hmm.
She didn't have enough sense to even say where she was living, but there was a new neighbor just moved into the corner, and so I had an idea that if the child was strange to me, intuitively I said maybe this might be your child, right?
Yeah.
So she's a single mother, but I guess she has a boyfriend, I guess. And people passed and they rode slowly, but I guess because they see me and some other neighbor asking who the baby was. But I actually, by the time the mother came outside, which was not that long, so she had an idea of something that went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And the toddler had learned how to open the door.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she came outside, she met me with the little baby in her hand. But that she was going to be the first person that I went to. But I didn't put it on the news or the air. You know what I mean? But speaking of traffic, I just want to get this in. Yesterday, I was on my way to pick up my little daughter, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the intersection of Robertson Road and Market Street, which would be Market Street South. There was an imbecile who was driving a bus. I can't even remember the number. But he flew past the red light. And I had my 2-year-old in the car, and my fiancé. It was very frightening. And the speed in which he did it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a good thing that corner, you have great visibility.
Yeah.
And the police, the police warned my past, so I was glad, I was ecstatic. I said, get him. But when I looked, he just gave him a warning, and the imbecile drove off. I don't know, maybe he's from a different demographic that seems to be getting away with everything in this country. And we need to discuss a parallel society. And speaking of religion, right?
Mm-hmm.
I share the same sentiments as you. You wear locks on your head, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see the contempt in which people look at you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even the police officers, they won't stop because their minds, they still have these colonial, imbecilic brains, Miss Greene, all right? In which they look at you as a criminal from the minute they see you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as it relates to the Christians and the religious concepts and ideologies, all of their minds are being raped, and they look like they sit up in the seat of the scornful, and, people just don't get it. But most people won't learn, right, Miss Greene, until they lie down sick and dying and defecating or become incapacitated, and then they reduce to nothingness. But me personally, I'm free because I really don't worry about what people think. I'm too old for that. I'm going to live my life. Being free means you don't worry what people think. Otherwise, you're conformed and you're following the herd, which is an intuitive part of humanity. But then they take advantage of it so you can follow the herd, and then you never get anywhere for yourself. You see what I'm saying? You free beings, you have to have an independent mind. And I'm sickened by the human journey in that people are calling themselves Christians, but they're not audacious like Jesus, who went and tried to turn over the tables of the money changers, etc., and confronted the people, right? But when we look at the transhumanistic BS, AI technology, science running away with AI and technology, running away with humanity, but everybody is sitting back just embracing it, but nobody's speaking out. One of the basic fundamentals of transhumanism is a godless world. I don't know why people don't go and read it, but the Christian community is sitting back. I heard a guy on the radio saying he cashed something, and he's saying they're progressive.
All right, the texter that said he thinks that police officers may be using police vehicles to transport their children to school. I thought those are the sorts of issues that the Police Staff Association is supposed to help police with. Like, Police Staff Association could devise a transportation model for police officers to ensure that their kids could get to school safely and back home safely, right, while officers are on duty. I thought that's what the Police Staff Association is supposed to be doing, because the Constitution say they can't be a union. Anyway, also, do we need a school of local government? Does the University of the Bahamas need to provide for us a school of local government or a unit of local government that is mandatory for anybody who wants to participate in local governance? I don't know the mandatory part, but I think it should be available nonetheless. Okay. Pindling's birthday proposed for a new holiday. Progressive Liberal Party Chairman Fred Mitchell has proposed that the government make the birthday of Sir Lyndon Pindling or a nearby date a national holiday. First of all, I want to apologize for cracking a joke that we have 11, cheapest we just get 12. I didn't know they were going to take it seriously, people. I didn't know they were going to take it seriously. And see, because here's the thing, Progressive Liberal Party. I want you all to note that it's the PLP chairman that offered this idea. just know that if you're going to make Sir Lyndon Pindling's birthday a new public holiday, then you cannot prevent, dissuade a full and thorough interrogation into who he was at the personal level, at the professional and public level. You're going to make the man's birthday a national holiday? Then be prepared for people to interrogate. Just don't shut down the conversation. That was from the chairman of the PLP. Here's another statement from the chairman of the PLP. Mitchell, no one wants to wait 6 months to open a bank account. Progressive Liberal Party Chairman Fred Mitchell has dismissed a recent central bank survey claiming that 99% of bank account applications are approved, calling a headline about the story, quote, the biggest chuckle of the week, and arguing that the statistic masks the frustrating reality many Bahamians face. That's also from the chairman of the PLP and not the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Producer, let's go to the phone line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. Yes, Erin. I agree with you. If the Lyndon...
I'm so sorry, ma'am. Your line is filled with water. Here are the numbers to call: 323-6232, 325-4316, 325-4259, 242-300-5720. Text line 422-GR96. Here's two texts. So Texas sent me a note that said that IRCA allows that word. Okay, but do it for me. Do it for Erin Greene. Why would you say something so exciting among such excitable people and not expect excitement? Don't rile me up. Don't use that type of language. I may forget myself. These Green Road cops are transporting more than their school children. We saw it the other day. You know what they toting? They toting beatings for young people. I mean, that's what a young person would have said. Anyway, it's important that when we have these conversations critiquing the police, that we are fair and that we're clear, so that the Royal Bahamas Police Force and the good officers understand that we're engaged in critical interrogation and we're not painting everybody with the same brush. Okay, the two headlines that I actually I prepared for from last night. Performing Arts School links to Hollywood firm, a new government art school offering free high-level training in acting, dance, and singing will open in September with help from a top Hollywood talent agency representing such stars as Tom Hanks and Reese Witherspoon. The Bahamas Creative and Performing Arts School will operate out of the former Phil's Food Service building on Gladstone Road, which is being renovated at a cost of between $5 million and $7 million. I'm so happy, so very, very happy to see that y'all actually put the location for the school in the story, because I read a whole story yesterday. I pulled my notes. Says, government identifies site for future Bahamas Creative and Performance Arts School. Mind you, this was from the 11th of February, 2025. Government identifies site for future Bahamas Creative and Performing Arts School. Why could you tell us what you identified in that article over a month ago? Plenty plus a month ago. Anyway, $5 to $7 million to renovate former Phil's Food Service building. But didn't you all just renovate it? $5 to $7 million. Now, let me ask you a question. Does that mean that's the total cost? That's all the insulation foam? That's all the fancy copper wires to connect all the speakers in the sound system, right? Right. $5 to $7 million. And if your timeline is that the school should be open, and we're going to read from The Guardian now, project leader Ian Poitier said the program will begin accepting students this September. Okay, you're going to begin accepting students this September. When's the programming going to open? Because I'm going to do the math. It's just a little PLP math. I can do the math in my head right now. 5 to $7 million worth of renovations. It is now almost the end of March. April, May, June, July, August, September. Let's be generous and call it 6 months. April, May, June, July, August, September. Let's be generous and call it 6 months. Has any government been able to successfully complete a project that required $5 to $7 million for renovations in 6 months? I wish I hadn't taken my paper out of my bag yesterday so I could read the headline that says the Abaco shelter is, quote, on track, close quotes. I want to know which track. Is it on the old National Stadium track? Which track is it on? Please, when y'all write these stories or you state actors speak to the media, acknowledge the actual timeline. Text to say that's election busy week. Okay. Now this is the story, and I'm going to pick it up, continue with it later in the week. I got you. I was just reading the text. Man abducted teen and kept her at his home. A 26-year-old man was sentenced to 1 year in prison after admitting to abducting his 17-year-old girlfriend, who had recently argued with her mother, and keeping her at his home for over a month. Assistant Chief Magistrate Carolyn Voigt Evans arraigned Alex Simmons on a charge of abduction. Simmons reportedly kept the teenage girl, whose name is being withheld because she is a minor, at his residence in New Providence between February 14th and March 18th, allegedly intending to have sexual intercourse with her despite not having lawful custody. Simmons pleaded guilty to the charge. He told the magistrate he was, quote, waiting, close quotes, to have sex with the underage girl, and claimed she came to his house after a fight with her mother. He also told the court that he is the father of an infant son and has another child on the way. Magistrate Voigt Evans severely admonished Simmons, saying he was, quote, out of line, close quotes. She noted that the victim referred to him as her, quote, boyfriend, close quotes, in the official report. While the magistrate acknowledged the teenage girl orchestrated the abduction, let me read that again. While the magistrate acknowledged that the teen girl orchestrated the abduction, she stressed that Simmons, as the adult, should have corrected the situation. She said he failed to act responsibly and instead encouraged the teen's actions, knowing she was underage and still living with her mother. The magistrate told Simmons the court would not tolerate the sexual abuse of minors and warned him to let the next person under 18, quote, pass him by, close quotes. She also referred to the number of missing children in the country. Although Simmons was credited for his early guilty plea, the court noted he had prior convictions, though none of a similar nature. He was sentenced to 1 year in prison and informed of his right to appeal the sentence. Assistant Superintendent of Police S. Coakley served as the prosecutor. Well, that story is a whole bag of things. This story is a whole bag of things that we should discuss. I think I'm going to reach out to a local advocate, maybe multiple advocates, to talk about it. First of all, while I'm just looking for that sentence again that almost caused me to lose myself. While the magistrate acknowledged that the teenage girl orchestrated the abduction, she stressed that Simmons, as the adult, should have corrected the situation. I'm not even sure how to approach that. Anyway, so I had planned a discussion. I wanted to start at a starting point. It is obviously not the beginning. It would be completely and totally ridiculous and irresponsible to even suggest that this thing I'm going to identify as rape culture began with the PLP or with this particular PLP administration, A. Davis administration. So we're not doing that. But I want to walk us through a series of cases and headlines from April 1st, 2022 to the present. So when we do it again, we'll possibly cap it off at this article, Man Abducted Teen and Kept Her at His Home. Included in that list of stories are headlines like Adriel Moxie was strangled and sexually assaulted, Commissioner says. Another headline, 5 suspects charged and remanded on allegations of unlawful sexual intercourse. Man accused of attempting to undress sleeping 16-year-old boy. Man accused of trying to touch teen girls' privates. Anyway, when we get back to that subject, we're going to go through a list of articles and commentary that suggests to me that not only is this rape culture, but that we're celebrating it somehow. Anyway, you've been on the clock with Erin Greene, Guardian Radio AM, and C.A. Nuri is up next.
Everybody Wins Live is bringing you the ultimate giveaway, a brand new Cybertruck. For every $30 spent, you're in the drawing for the ultimate grand prize, a Cybertruck. Drawing live at the Vibes Cartel concert March 29th. You'll also be automatically entered to win tickets to see the world boss himself. 25 lucky winners every single week. Visit everybodywinslive.com to get into the game. See website for full terms and conditions. Must be 18 or over to participate.
Inland Revenue is here to guide and help you with all things business license and VAT. On March 25th and 26th at the National Baseball Stadium, the DIR will host a financial symposium with multiple government and private agencies. Then in the month of April, learn all about VAT through our in-person and virtual sessions during what we call VAT Education Month. For more information, follow Capital DIR Bahamas on all social media platforms.
As a healthcare professional, you dedicate your life to caring for others. But even with the best care, legal challenges can arise. Protect your practice and your peace of mind with medical malpractice insurance from Star General. At Star General, we've partnered with Lloyd's of London to bring you comprehensive professional liability insurance designed specifically for those consulting or practicing privately. Visit our website today so you can focus on what you do best, caring for your patients, while we take care of the rest. Star General, insurance made simple.
This is Guardian Radio 96.9 FM, streaming on GuardianTalkRadio.com and the Guardian Radio app, Nassau, Bahamas.